Here. Okay. All right. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Step Central webinar. Why wait? Using early undergraduate research to improve STEM education, educational experience, and retain talented students. Presented by John Davis from Alma College. I need to get my notes up here. There we go. My name is Tanya Siemens, and I'm the manager at the Step Central Project. And the Step Central Project works to cultivate a community practice for NSF STEP grantees and anyone interested in working on improving STEM education. Step Central offers online resources, webinars, blogs, and discussion groups to encourage co-learning and collaboration on undergraduate STEM education nationwide. So I encourage all of you to join Step Central and get involved in the conversation. But I'd also like to take this opportunity to make an exciting announcement that Step Central will be evolving to become STEM Central. So we have recently joined forces with the American Association of Colleges and Universities and the American Society for Engineering Education, and we'll be working with these organizations to transform Step Central to STEM Central and thus serve a much broader STEM education community. So we're excited about that. Well, now back to the main focus today is this webinar. It's my pleasure to introduce our presenter. I'm very excited that Dr. John Davis is here with us today. John Davis is a strong proponent of undergraduate research and the use of research as a way of extending learning beyond traditional classroom. Early on, grants from NASA, the Michigan Department of Public Health, and the Lilly Foundation have supported his work with undergraduates. Over the past 29 years at Alma, he has co-authored 9 full-length publications and 26 published abstracts with undergrads. His primary research interest focuses on physiological adaptation to high altitude. Dr. Davis was the program director for the McGregor program at Alma College, and the McGregor program successfully involved first-year students in research. He was the director of the Michigan Summer Institute for the Arts and Sciences at Alma College for 5 years. Funded by the State of Michigan Education Department, the Institute provided academic experiences for gifted and talented high school sophomores and juniors. Dr. Davis serves as a principal investigator and program director for the NSF STEP-funded project PRISM, which means Positive Routes into Science and Mathematics. Dr. Davis and Alma College were recently awarded a $5 million grant from the Dow Foundation for STEM education. The project, entitled eSTEM, Enhancing STEM Education and Practice, will focus on undergraduate research at Alma and engaging K through 12 teachers and students in research and other hands-on science activities. So we're very pleased to have John with us today, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you, John, and take it away.
All right, get the PowerPoint up. Well, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. And I guess coming in the virtual sense. This is my first experience with a webinar, so hopefully everything is going to go well here. First thing I'd like to do, you're probably wondering, first thing is, where is Alma? So if you, I think you got, hopefully you can see my hand. Alma, or Michigan, kind of looks like a hand, and Alma College is right in the geographic center of the state. We're a small liberal arts college. We have about 1,400 students, and our primary focus is the pre-professional programs, but again, we do have a full range of STEM majors. So what I want to do today is talk a little bit about early undergraduate research. You know, back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when some of us started doing this, this was fairly revolutionary. But now you're going to see, as I show you some of the programs that have used this particular technique, this strategy, that it's really become it's become fairly widely used. So again, the idea is, why wait? You might as well get students started early on, because I think you're going to see some data both from Alma College and other places that show that it really does improve the STEM educational experience, and we retain students at a higher rate. So I guess the first thing I'd like to do is start off with a poll, just to kind of get an idea about where you all are in the process here. Do you currently have an early undergraduate research program at your university? And early I'm going to restrict to probably the first year, either during the first year or during the summer after the first year. And I'm going to come out of my full screen just so that I can see the poll results. So I think we're still collecting.
We're still collecting. 86% of you have voted so far, so we're going to try to get it up to maybe around 90.
Okay.
Okay, this is just the first part.
Yep.
All right, so I'll go ahead and share, close poll, and share the results with everyone.
So it looks like about 70% of you, do use early undergraduate research, and about 30% have not at some point in time. Sorry, let me go back.
And then,
so I guess I'm somewhat preaching to the choir in that many of you have this program ongoing. Again, the idea is hopefully you'll still be able to take some things out of this and also contribute. Again, we hope to make, at the end, there's hopefully going to be a dialogue, but if you want to ask questions early on, feel free as well. So let me get the second poll, or the second part of the poll, and that is, if so, what format does it take? There are summer bridge research before entering the university, research during the academic year for credit, summer research for credit, or summer research with a stipend. And some of these probably combine, but this is the way that I kind of put the poll together. So, so we'll wait to see the poll in progress. And looks like I don't have to come out of my screen, so that's good. I can see the control panel.
Oh, good. Got 61% of the audience voted, but only 70% of our audience has a student research. So I would probably have about all the responses now. So I will close the poll and share results.
Okay. So it looks like about 73% of you have research during the academic year for credit. About 55% summer research with a stipend, 23% summer research for credit, 14% summer bridge research before entering the institution. Okay, so again, sounds like there's quite a bit of research during the academic year for credit, and some summer research, about half of you summer research with a stipend, about a quarter for research for credit. Not many the summer bridge program, so it's good. I think I've got a good handle now on who you all are. Okay, so let's go to the next one. There we go. So what I'd like to do now is just kind of talk about some programs that have been supported primarily by the NSF STEP program. Some of you, I think some of you who are involved in the webinar don't really know what STEP is. It's a Science Talent Expansion Program. It's been ongoing for, I don't know, probably 15 years. Very successful program designed really to increase the number of STEM graduates. So all of the programs that I'm going to be talking about here are supported by the STEP program. So the first one I want to kind of talk to you about is the University of Central Oklahoma. And again, the first category is these summer bridge research programs. And what the University of Central Oklahoma does is they have incoming freshmen and transfer students. And what they do is they have both laboratory and/or field activities combined with teaching. So their goal really is to have students get a head start on their college education by working with faculty on a variety of different research projects for the month of July. So it's about a 4-week program. They pay their summer bridge participants a $1,000 stipend, and then students can continue this through their freshman year. I don't have any data for their particular program, but I know their program has been quite successful. So this is kind of one model. The reason I bring this up is, again, this is one model for these summer bridge research programs. Oops, let me go back. Another institution that uses this summer bridge model is Hamilton College. And what they do a 5-week program. Again, it's a research-oriented program. The students work with a faculty mentor. and they're paid a stipend for $350 a week. And again, this is before, so these are students who are going to matriculate at Hamilton. This is before they arrive at Hamilton. And again, the details of this actually I'm going to show you in a second, because there is a publication that you'll have access to when we post this on the web. They do have some really significant results. What they found was 78.3% of the students who participated selected a science major versus 59% of a control group. Now, their control group was students who applied for this program but were not accepted for the program. Because one of the big things you're going to hear from me, and I imagine from others who look at these programs, is there a selection bias? And again, there are various ways to try to avoid that. One way is, again, to take students who have applied, so they're obviously interested, and put them into a control group. What they found was that these participants had a higher grade point, actually 2.5 points on a 100 scale. And the main things I think that they came away with from this program were there were academic pieces that really helped with the retention piece. But the really important thing was social, was kind of this cohorting of students who have similar interests. And we kind of find the same thing, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. So that's the Hamilton College model. And again, there is a publication in Kerr Quarterly. Many of you are probably familiar with Kerr. Kerr is the Council on Undergraduate Research. And again, they've George Shields, who's now the Dean of Arts and Sciences at Bucknell, published this in the year 2010. And again, they demonstrate really significant improvement in the number of science majors based on this model that they've used. Here's another model. This is our model at Alma College. Basically what we do is we bring students on for 1 week. Again, these are students who will be matriculated in the fall, and they work in small research teams of faculty. We have some upper class students who serve as peer mentors, our first year researchers, as well as these incoming students. And it's only a 1 week experience. Basically, they come in, they get a taste of research, they pick out one small aspect of a faculty member's research, they work on that. We have a poster session at the end of the week that the whole campus is invited to, as well as parents, etc. And so again, if you have specific questions about that, I can address those at the end of the presentation, or if you have some, let me know now. So here's our data, and again, it's been really important, and even our administration recognizes the impact of this particular program. I'm going to say a little bit more about that in a minute. So our retention rate was about 95% from first to second year, compared to 81% for the rest of the campus. The thing that we noticed is the same as Hamilton. It had a significant effect on the academic performance of our students. These Aspire students had a greater science GPA than non-Aspire students. And what we did was, we didn't compare them to students who were applied but were not accepted. We actually matched them with a group of students that had similar high school GPAs and similar ACT scores. Now, the first group of these students that were involved with this 4 years ago has subsequently graduated in 2014. And what we found was that 87% of the students who participated in this program graduated in 4 years, all in STEM fields, compared to the average four-year graduation rate at Alma College, which is 48%. Okay, now I'm going to kind of shift gears and talk about the first-year summer undergraduate experience. So this is for rising sophomores. These are students who, again, have completed 1 year at Alma College and other places. And again, I'm going to give you two models here for this type of research. The first one is from Heidi Manning's group at Concordia College. And basically what Concordia does is they have 10 first-year students who are supported in research labs across the STEM disciplines. So this is an interdisciplinary STEM program. And They have workshops on ethics each week. They've got a weekly seminar series, and they kind of focus on science writing of vocation and career planning on those seminar series. But other than that, again, the students are working in research labs across the campus. Okay. Here we go. Oops, sorry. And here are some of their results. They basically use the SURE survey, which is the Student Undergraduate Research Experience Survey. It's a national survey that, again, that many institutions use. And what they looked at was over the course of the 2 summers that I think they're still ongoing, but at least I think it was their first 2 summers, on a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being a great gain, 1 being no gain. And what you could see is, other than formulating a research question, and the reason why that wasn't fairly high was actually the students began their research experiences with a project that had already been determined in advance by the faculty mentor. So they weren't really involved with the design. But if you look at other things like understanding scientific and mathematical literature, explain research designs and methodology, proficiency in the use of tools and instruments, etc., you can see that they really had some significant learning gains with their particular program. Another one that wasn't real high was communicating, either writing or presenting within your area of study. And again, you can see the double asterisks at the bottom, and Heidi tells me that the reason why this is the case is their poster session, where they kind of put all this together, was after the end of the survey. So clearly, I think Concordia has shown fairly significant learning gains. And again, here's the SURE survey compared to all students as well as small liberal arts colleges, I believe, is what the red is. And you can see pretty much on most, other than there are several that weren't, but in most cases, let's see if there we go. The students at Concordia scored higher than, again, other colleges, as well as all students who completed the SURE survey. So I think, again, they've demonstrated that this early undergraduate research seems to have an important impact on learning gains. So here's our model. We have a 10-week research experience. We invite 16. We have 16 first-year students who participate. Typically, we'll have 30 or 40 applications for this. We have a research night, one night in the month of January, where faculty talk to students and about their research, and then students ultimately apply. One thing that we do, and I think this is important to point out in our application process, is whether it be for the Aspire program, which I mentioned to you before, or our 10-week research experience, we do not get any statistics on these students. Basically what they do is they write an essay on why they want to be selected. And we do that to try, again, to eliminate the selection bias that the best and brightest students are going to be the ones that apply for this, and they're going to stay in the STEM disciplines anyway. So again, our application process is a little different than most others. So anyway, so they apply and we select 16 of them. And again, it's based on, do they have passion in this essay? Are they really interested in it? Because again, what we find is some of the students who might not be the top ranked students really benefit greatly from these programs. So basically, the students worked in the science research lab, science and math, and computer science across the STEM disciplines. And another really important part of our program is we have upper class students in those labs, really, that serve as peer mentors. And there's a great interaction between these upper class students and the first year students. And I think that's one of the other reasons that we have quite a bit of success. We do have weekly research seminars, and we've got a lot of social activities. I have to say, this summer, one of the things that we do is we have a softball game against the research students. We've beaten them every other year. This year we lost, which was a little bit disappointing. But next year we're gonna get the softball crown back. So I think it's important to combine these social activities, because again, there's as much the social aspect of this as there is being physically in the laboratories with the faculty. So here are our results. So our second to third year retention rate for students who participated in this program was 100% compared to about 88% for those who did not. Like Aspire, we matched the group to these to similar GPAs and ACT scores. And again, between the years of 2010 and 2013, students had a higher GPA as well, even though, again, initially they were matched for GPA and ACT scores. So in 2014, again, we had our first group that graduated. 94% of these students graduated, all in STEM majors, and again, like I said before, compared to our four-year graduation rate of 48%. And again, there's a lot of side effects to this that I'm not going to have a chance to talk to you about. 23 presentations at regional and national scientific conferences. Actually, we had several publications where students these are first-year students, again, were first author on some of these papers. And this is the number of declared majors through time. And again, you can see that gradually the number of declared majors has increased from our reference year, which is 2008 to 2013. And I don't think it's too much to say that this program really has changed the culture at our institution. One of the things that we did not have was a really vibrant summer research program. We had students kind of in one area or another, and now there's a coherent summer research program. And I think so that kind of the culture has changed somewhat. And one other point, and then we'll move on here. We have been able to, I think leveraging of this was really important for us, so we haven't been able to leverage this. I think Tanya mentioned in the introduction, we just received a $5 million grant from the Dow Foundation to improve STEM education. A lot of that is K through 12, but a significant portion of it is going to go into undergraduate research. So we're going to have about 15 to 20 students supported on that grant every summer, and the nice thing is it's an endowment, so that'll continue for the long term. Okay, so enough of statistics and other types of things. What I'd like to do is have you hear a few student voices in this whole process. Now, just to set the context for this one, these 5 students actually, these are all first-year students who participated in Aspire. They actually are in Ecuador doing research in the Galapagos. And I'm hoping you're going to be able to hear this. This one's a little bit, the volume's a little bit low, but the next one you definitely will be able to hear. So let me see if I can play this and have you hear it.
What would you tell new Aspire students about your science experience at Alma College? See.
I like it a lot.
Okay.
It's been really great. It opens up a lot of doors. Because I did Aspire, I was able to be like, oh, I like science. And then I did Prism with Dr. Rowe, and because I did research with him, I was able to go and present at the Academy of Science.
Michigan Academy.
Okay, the Michigan Academy of Science on a paper that he put my name on because I helped with that research. So it really allows you to do a lot of things. It looks really good on application.
Very good.
Okay, so that I hope you're able to hear that. I like that one because it's actually they're in the context of doing research in the particular location that they're in. Here's another one, and I think this one is a little bit more of it's produced a little better, but I think it really gives you the flavor, at least at Alma, in terms of how this program works.
The PRISM program should attract students who are considering science and who need to experience it as soon as possible in order for them to make informed decisions about their futures and therefore about their curricular plan.
I'm kind of a science geek. I enjoy that kind of stuff, and I saw, wow, great chance to actually go up to Alma. First of all, to go up to Alma a week early. I got a general feel for the layout of campus. I got to figure out how to eat, how the meals worked, and then just enjoyed being able to come up and do a bunch of science, get to know some of the science faculty earlier, and just had a great time.
I think it has really given them a solid and realistic taste, a sense of the enjoyment that a career in scientific investigation has to offer.
I do believe PRISM kind of showed me what a career in science really would be in the research aspect, at least. Mainly because even though I knew exactly what I was supposed to do, exactly what it was supposed to end up with, doesn't mean that's what I got. Which I think is a very crucial lesson you need to learn if you ever want to do research.
By doing research, they can discover something new. And for a moment in time, they know something that nobody else in the world knows. Nothing can replace that sensation. The PRISM program...
Sorry. Okay, so hopefully that gave you a little flavor of kind of from a student perspective, I guess in a faculty perspective who's participating in the program, how the impact that it's had. Well, let's do the second poll, and hopefully this is going to lead into a discussion that we can have at the end of the webinar. So I'd like to offer this question to you. The biggest obstacle for starting an early research program at your university is, funding? Is it faculty buy-in? Is it administrative support? Or is there some other thing that you find is an obstacle? So we'll wait just a second, get the poll results, and see what you all say.
We're stuck on 65. All right, there we go. We got some responses. 78% has voted.
And by the way, these polls are to see if you're still awake as well.
They're waking up. Okay. All right, I think we got a good response. We got 85% of you guys voted, so I'll go ahead and close the poll and share the results.
Okay, so it looks like most of you, the main issue is funding. Although it looks like faculty buy-in is at least a quarter of an obstacle, and then administrative support seems to be not all that much of a problem, and then 6% of you said other. The funding issue, I think, is a big one, and maybe in the discussion afterwards, some of you who have had success in obtaining funding for this, maybe you can let us know some of the areas where you can find this. The faculty buy-in question is an important one, and I think we should talk about that, and we will in a minute here. So, good. Let's move on. Okay. So these were the implementation issues, and again, the poll pretty much kind of reflects these. Again, funding clearly is one. There aren't a lot of agencies, I don't think, other than NSF. Potentially, maybe NIH has some as well, and more of the health sciences. But again, there are foundations, like we've been able to, like I said, get a grant from the Dow Foundation for undergraduate research. Let's talk about the faculty buy-in piece of it. One of the main obstacles that we had when we first started this early undergraduate research was from faculty saying, why would I want to have first-year students in my laboratory? Even though we're a small liberal arts college, the reward system, especially for tenure and promotion, still is based on producing research. So many of them felt that having first-year students in their laboratory would be an obstacle for their particular research interests. And so the first year I had to do a lot of arm twisting, but we got about 11 or 12. Again, at Alma, that's a fairly large number. That's almost a third to a half of our natural science division to take on students. And after the first year, it was not a problem. Actually, I have too many people now, because what they've found is that these first-year students can do research. Not only that, if they get them trained as a first-year student, they have them for 4 years, and they're much more productive in their laboratory. And there's a great example. So I just want to give you this example just for a second. We have a faculty member in our physics department, Stuart Jensen, who does string theory. And so I asked Stuart in one of the years, would you like to participate? He said, well, I don't think I can. because I'm not sure first-year students can really help with my string theory research. I said, take a student and try it. He took a student, tried it, and really now is an advocate for this early undergraduate research. So I think that, again, hopefully those of you, the 26% of you that said faculty buy-in, hopefully that might help in some way. Here at Alma, part of our reward structure is built into involving undergraduate students in research. And again, depending on what I know a lot of you are at larger institutions where that might not necessarily be the case, but I think that's something important that has to be there, again, in order for faculty to participate. Oops. So I wanted to kind of finish the formal part here by just making sure that you know what resources are available to you. I mentioned the Council on Undergraduate Research. This is a great resource. They actually have yearly meetings, not only meetings for undergraduates to present, which is typically in April, but then they have typically another meeting for faculty and administrators. They just had one this past June in Washington. So CUR is a great resource if you're looking for that. We're going to take you to Step Central after we're done. And again, Tanya has really already kind of described STEM Central now, but I want to go to a particular location, which is our working group, so that you know and show you some of the resources that are available there. Certainly PCAL or Project Kaleidoscope, which is now aligned themselves with AAC and U, is another great resource for STEM education. Hopefully, I think many of you probably are familiar with that. Those are PCAL. So that's kind of the end of the formal presentation. I'm hoping now either to see hands go up or hear from you. I think some of you actually can directly ask questions as well. So I'd like to kind of open it up to a discussion and hear the successes that you all have had. If there are some barriers that you've found implementing this early undergraduate research, we can talk about that, or anything that you want related to that. So, any questions out there, hopefully?
Oh, we got one.
Okay.
From Sarah Hughes. In these types of programs, does each student just work with one faculty member or in teams?
Yeah, that's a good question. Our model is they typically work with one faculty member, although there are some projects. For instance, we've got a medicinal chemist who works with our biochemist. So the students kind of work together on that project. So there's kind of two faculty involved. But overall, typically, it's one faculty member, a first-year student, and then an upper-class student in that laboratory. We make sure that we do have the upper-class student in there, again, who acts kind of as a peer mentor, as a mentor for the students. Good question, though.
We have another question from Heather Evans Anderson. She asks, can you speak about the summer research for credit model?
Yeah. What we do is, for the 16 students, again, who were selected after their first year, they get a $2,500 stipend for the 10-week program. They get free housing, and we give them 4 credits of independent study. Now, at Alma College, credits are really expensive. We're, again, a small liberal arts college, private college. So what we wanted to do was kind of, because our stipend is fairly small relative, many of you are familiar with the RU program, we kind of we provided them the other 2. So basically, students would sign up for an independent study, and the faculty member would work with them. Part of the requirement for the independent study, obviously, is to complete the research work in the laboratory, and then they would have to present it somewhere, either, again, locally. We have a thing called Honors Day, where all the students who do research present, or at our Michigan Academy of Arts and Sciences or at some state conferences. The interesting thing is many of them, and again, you saw 23, I think was the number we put out there. I'd say at least half of those were at national conferences. So to get the credit, they have to, again, complete some presentation or written document as well so we can give them the academic credit. Good question, though.
Great. We got lots of questions lining up. This is wonderful. Next question from Lynn Stauffer. What guidance do you give to applicants in writing their essay? Are faculty asked to encourage rising stars, quote unquote, rising stars to apply?
Very perceptive. What we asked, again, I try the best I can to not have them identify rising stars and say, okay, I want this person in my laboratory. And to a certain extent, I can't control, because the faculty select the students with me. So we sit down and we go through all the applications and we select the students. There are times that probably the rising star gets in, but hopefully I think the faculty now know that, yes, academic performance is an important prerequisite for students doing well in the research program, but there are many students who are average students that still do quite well. So, but good point. There are some that slip through, absolutely. What do I look for in the essay? Again, kind of passion, like, I'm really interested in doing research. I've been curious since I was in high school. So that's what I look for more than probably research experience in the past, or I've done research in this particular faculty member's lab before. But it's not a real science. It's more of an art. But good point.
Great. The next question comes from Catherine Fry. I work for a professional society that funds summer research programs. Are there any good resources available about mentoring undergrad researchers, especially from underrepresented groups?
Again, I believe Kerr would probably be the first place that I would go. I can't put my hand on or fingers on it right now, and maybe that's something I can look for and post on STEM Central eventually. But Kerr would be the resource that I would go for that. Again, they've got all kinds of resources that might address that particular question. If there's any way that you could post your particular organization, I think you said that funds undergraduate research, if I caught the question properly, on STEP Central or STEM Central, that would be wonderful. It would probably increase your application pool quite a bit. So that might be something we'd really encourage you to do.
The next question comes from Victoria Brown Kennerly. Is there compensation for professors that mentor research over the summer? Do they have 12-month appointments or 9-month appointments? Compensation for student, per credit hour?
Yeah, that's a good question. Oops, I'm just going to close this. It's a good question. What we do is, again, we compensate the student, and we do compensate the faculty, but not much. Our compensation for the 10-week summer research is $500 per faculty member, which is not much. And at Alma, I guess the context is at Alma College, undergraduate research is important, and it's part of the reward structure, the academic reward structure. So again, for tenure and promotion. So a lot of them are doing it for that, not necessarily the financial rewards. So, but that's what we provide, $500 per student in the summer.
Okay, I'm going to get this person's name wrong. Zipakangi Kiwa? Sorry, I'm very sorry. How can one deal with research at a college where students attend classes on 8-week sessions rather than 16-week sessions?
So I guess maybe the question is, during the academic year, if you've only got 8 weeks, how can you do research? I have not had any experience with that, So, and maybe there's somebody else who can contribute. One of the 42 out there who are involved with this. You know, what we do with especially our first year students, is we take small pieces of the research and kind of let them take control of that. So that might be what you do. Maybe, you know, kind of rather than a very long project, maybe make it smaller. Take one small piece of the research. That would be my only suggestion.
Right, thank you. Our next question comes from Linda Brasdil. We are about to start a program for summer research after the freshman year. Faculty have asked how we can possibly support these students and new freshmen in research as they continue as undergraduates. Have you dealt with this type of reservation?
That's another really good point. You know, if you get too many students, you know, they get all excited about research either after our Aspire program, which is the entering research experience, or after the first year experience, after the first year. Yeah, do you have enough faculty to, you know, to kind of take these students on? It hasn't really been an issue yet, but again, being a small liberal arts college, again, we have probably 30 some odd faculty in the natural sciences. It certainly could be an issue at some point. And to add to the complexity of this, our institution has just added, we call it a venture grant. So every student is going to get $2,500. Every student, $2,500, either to do an internship or some type of research experience. So this is really going to add to the mix, and you know, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see whether we in the natural sciences can handle all of these students now who are going to be involved with research. Many of them are going to do internships off campus or research off campus, but it is an issue.
Okay, Mary Fleming Hughes asks, how is research funded and students selected? I missed some of the formal presentation. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So we have what's called for the Aspire program, which is the 1 week before students come to Alma program. They fill out an application. It does not, again, have any academic criteria on it. Basically, they write an essay that we have several people read, and it's more of an art than a science. For the first year, the research experience at the end of the first year, what we do is we have an evening session where all the faculty present, students come, listen to those, then they pick their top 3 choices, and based on that experience. And again, they submit an application that has an essay, but again, no particular, no academic criteria are indicated. And then I sit down with the faculty members who are selected usually first because we've got so many applications, all the ones that select them first, and we decide on the students who will be participating.
Great. Susan Walden makes a point, I think is making a point. There have been many STEP projects that included undergraduate research for underrepresented groups. There should be some reports on STEP Central or papers in the STEP literature database.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been a major goal, I think, of the program. I didn't show you any data for our particular project, but I think our underrepresented minority percentage was about double in our summer research experiences, both Aspire and the 10-week summer research experience, relative to what our campus population is. And I think that's really important. Again, I just don't have the data, so thank you for telling us about that. I'm not sure. Yeah, I didn't mention STEP Central. I mentioned Kerr. I'm sure there's a working group, I believe, isn't there, Tanya? That pardon?
Yes, a working group for undergraduate research.
Right. And no, for underrepresented minorities. Is there any?
Oh yes, yeah, we do. We have a working group.
So that would probably be the place to go. Yep.
The questions are still rolling in. This is great. Do you compensate the seniors who mentor as well? From Sarah Hughes.
That's a good another really good question. We do. Typically, they're going to be getting a stipend from their, some source, either college-generated money or some other grant that pays for their 10-week experience. But I supplement that with $200. So for the summer, they get about $200 to be a peer mentor. Most of them would do it for free. They really enjoy it. And again, those of you and many of you who are listening probably do this as well. To see that student-to-student interaction is really positive. I think that's as powerful as maybe the faculty-student interaction. But so we provide a small stipend for them.
All right, this is the last question so far, although feel free to ask more if you want to have another question. Kelly Gull asks, do students have an opportunity to, or are they encouraged to, present their research outside the local campus, i.e. at scientific society meetings?
Yes, most definitely. Some of them, again, just decide to do it on campus, and I think the number I put out was 23. Those were at national or regional, national, or international meetings. Pretty much all of the students presented our local, our on-campus meeting. We encourage them to do that. Actually, at our institution, the way it works is the college pays for half of any travel expenses. The department pays a quarter of the travel expenses, and then the student pays a quarter of the travel expenses. So many of them do take the research that they've been doing, again, the first-year students, and take it all over the country, and we've had some international ones as well. And it's really fun to see them interact. Most of them are poster sessions, although we have had some present at national meetings in free communications. And it's fun to see them interact with some of the scientists, and many of them get the question, so are you in a graduate program? And they'll say, no, I just finished my it would be my second year by the time they submit these and actually present. And many of the people are pretty flabbergasted about it.
So cool. One more question from Heather Evans Anderson. How do you recruit or advertise for the Aspire program?
That's a good question. Great question. These are spot on. What we do is admissions has a number of campus visit days, and so I think there's 6 over the course of the year. So somebody from the PRISM program is there, and they give us about a half hour 20 minutes to a half hour with all of the prospective students at each of those 6 days. And so that's the primary way that we recruit. Obviously, it's on our website, and there's electronic medium as well. Just an interesting side note, we are in a 1-year no-cost extension for our STEP grant, and one of the things we wanted to do was sustainability, and certainly the Dow grant is going to sustain a lot of it. The Dow grant does not sustain the Aspire program, the 1-week entering student, the students who have matriculated in Alma. Admissions has recognized that this is a really important recruiting tool. They now are going to pay for the Aspire program. It's almost $20,000 a summer to have those 30 or 40 students here in the summer. That's how important a recruiting tool it is for them. So.
Great. Melissa Kleinschmidt asks, I'm trying to start an undergraduate research program at a rural community college. Any recommendations for starting research with limited resources and money?
Well, I think if you can convince your institution, and again, I know that you're talking about during the academic year or during the summer, but let's say in the summer, you can convince your institution to provide a room for them, which should cost them nothing, because the rooms are going to sit there in the summer anyway. That's kind of the argument that I used to our administration. If you can convince the institution this is going to be really important for retention, and you've got a lot of studies now that have shown this, you can maybe provide free credit, independent study credit. So without any money there, I mean, it's really not money at all, you can kind of get your program jump-started. And then eventually, once you get it jump-started, again, I would encourage you to apply for some undergraduate research money. NSF still has a number of programs that will do that. And again, I think we had a question from somebody who kind of supports undergraduate research. If there, the other thing you might want to consider is if there are industries in your area that maybe you could partner with them, and they'd be willing to provide some support for some undergraduate research students in the summer. So then hopefully that would kind of get your program started, at least.
Any more questions? They're not rolling in anymore, so.
Okay, they were great questions.
Yeah.
Thank you for your involvement. It was, really good, spot-on questions. So actually, usually what happens at the end of a class is if students ask really good questions, they were paying attention. So it sounds like all of you were paying very close attention. Okay, so I guess what I'd like to do now, if it's before we end the webinar, is to take you to Step Central's undergraduate research working group. And so let me just pull this up. So this is Step Central, and Tanya can correct me.
Okay.
It's eventually going to be STEM Central?
Yep, we are working on quick redesign to make it STEM Central before the end of the year, so that it has the face of STEM Central, and then after, and then over the winter we're having several workshops and working group sessions so that we can find out what the true needs of the broader STEM communities is and how we can redesign the website to serve those communities, and so that STEM Central can serve as a networking hub for lots of different undergraduate STEM education audiences.
Okay. I see some of you leaving. Before, I forgot one thing. Please feel free to contact me via email. If you go to, I'm going to show you the Step Central site. I'm the coordinator for the undergraduate research working group. Hopefully my email is somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find it somewhere anyway. It's davisj@alma.edu. Please, if you have any other questions or startup kind of things, please contact me. Okay, so let's go to Step Central then. So it's just stepcentral.net. And if you click on working groups, there are a whole series of working groups, and many of you might be interested in some of the other working groups here. And again, there's an important one: recruiting, retaining women and/or minority students. That was relative to a question. So you would just click on undergraduate research and internships, and what you'll see is there are a number of discussions, there are resources available, and what I'd really like to see is maybe we can continue the discussion that we started today in this webinar on Step Central, on the undergraduate research and internship working group. So I hope you consider doing that.
Yeah, and just to chime in order to ask a question, you can view and download all the resources, whether or not you're a member on Step Central. But to post a resource or to subscribe to the working group, which I hope that all of you will want to subscribe to this working group so you can follow the conversation, you need to become a member on Step Central. But you can, it's easy to do. You can contact me and I can get you set up. And then also within this working group is this webinar. This webinar recording will be posted in this working group as well, and you'll be able to post questions and comments to the webinar resource. So that's a good place to continue the conversation.
Okay, we're about 5 minutes before 3, so at this point, I guess I want to thank you all for attending, and I appreciate it. And again, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you all for attending, and thank you, John, for the excellent presentation. And we'll see you all on STEM Central, STEP or STEM Central. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.